All right, everybody, welcome back to Dog Sports.
Oh, oh, oh.
It is post-draft time. We're going to be doing some draft grades for our teams because no one's got time to do draft grades for all 32 teams because we are not getting paid for this yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
see,
there we go.
like that.
There we go. Woo!
But before we start, I don't think Ray's gonna pop on this episode. He had a death in the family. But he's a regular here, and we wanted to give him and the family a shout out. We have you in our thoughts and prayers, buddy. Prayers to the whole family. Um, and
Yes. Rest
And the,
in peace, Irv. Rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace. And you know what? I forgot to do this last week too. Shout out to Sam and her family. She lost her stepfather as well. Just been a real shitty couple weeks for some of my friends, and thoughts and prayers go out to her. Should have done this last week. Shame on me. But we all love you. And yeah, just wanted to kind of give them a little bit of the spotlight and shout out and everyone's attention. But with that being said, let's get right to it here. First things first, let's talk about some of the major selections that happened at the draft before we get into our own personal teams. Um, I think the first one that has to be talked about is the Falcons shocking the world, taking Michael Penix Jr. at 8th overall, which on the surface is I've had a couple days to kind of digest it and think about all the possible scenarios. And no, every single way I think about it, it might be the worst draft pick I've ever seen. And it's just, but it makes no sense from a value standpoint. It makes no sense from the Kirk Cousins standpoint. I mean, the only way this pick works out is if Kirk Cousins somehow blows out his other knee and then he comes in and plays well. But I mean, there were so many other players available that they could have taken, like, I don't know, an edge rusher, because they don't have one. When Dallas Turner was right there staring at you in the face, like, isn't this team trying to win right now? So like it totally was a draft of mixed signals, and not a fan of the Falcons taking Michael Penix Jr., especially since he really should have went in the end of the first round. So that's my 2 cents on Michael Penix. Just love the kid, love the player. Just horrible situation, horrible draft pick.
if you were going to tell me that Penix Jr. was not going to be there at 13 for the Raiders to pick, I would have called you a fool because I would have bet the house that Penix Jr. would have been there at 13. I didn't cross my mind that the Falcons would have been in on Penix. I could have named 5 other teams, and the Falcons weren't it, especially with them doling out $100 million guaranteed to Captain Kirk. Like, Kirk is the bag man. He goes everywhere and he gets the bag, right?
Well, he's good everywhere.
I I just I get it from the standpoint of you never know when you're going to get your quarterback of the future, and they think Penix is the future, right? So, I mean, it's a hell of a strategy. I don't. You could have traded back. That's my only thing. If you knew you were going to take Penix, you probably still could have traded back to at least 10, maybe with the Jets or something, and he still would have been there. At the least, you could have traded back to 10 to get Penix.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that they couldn't find somebody to trade into 8 to jump the Bears to take Odunze, because he would have been the guy at number 8 that a team would have traded up for.
Sure.
So
And I
So
thought,
yeah, I mean,
I
from
thought for
from
sure the
that,
Jets would.
say again, Zach.
I thought for sure that was prime candidate for the Jets because it was a badly kept secret the Jets wanted a Dunze bad.
They did, but they didn't want to. They didn't want to pay the price. They didn't have a
That
second round pick.
must have been crazy that Atlanta, if Atlanta was entertaining the idea of trading back a few spots, the price that they were asking must have been crazy because I just don't see where nobody thought they were going to take them. Everyone had them at Dallas Turner probably taking an edge. So I just crazy to me.
The one thing I will say though is, there is the old school train of thought, like we've been saying, which is like, okay, you just signed a starting quarterback, Kirk Cousins, one of the better ones in the league, 4-year deal, 100 million guaranteed, like you said, Pete. And why wouldn't you go surround him with something? Why wouldn't you pick a Dunze there at the very least, like instead of drafting another quarterback? And then there's the new possible train of thought, which is look at how many starting quarterbacks got hurt last year. And, I've been thinking about this for a couple of days too, leading up to this podcast, what grade I was going to give the Falcons. And I decided, I really just stuck to our teams. But what I'll say is that it'll be a really bad grade if the Falcons defense can't stop anybody, and that's the reason why they can't advance in the playoffs or something like that. Then it'll look like an F. But it could look like an A if something happens to Kirk, God forbid. I don't want that to happen to him.
Maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe his Achilles isn't right yet.
Maybe not. I mean, he suffered it later in the year. He didn't suffer it week 1 like Rodgers did. So we have to keep that in mind too. So
yeah, that's true.
And who's the backup there? Can you name them? I can't. Now it's Penix Jr. So
did they keep Heineke?
Even if it's Heineke, I mean, do you trust Heineke to play at a higher level consistently? I'm not sure.
I mean, you got a brand new head coach in there. You're shooting to win right immediately. So I guess in that sense, they got their guy for the future. And if something happens where Cousins isn't ready, hey, you're in now. This is what we had 8 for.
Yeah, this is the most important position in the sport. We have a backup plan for it. The Jets got crucified last year for not having a backup plan with a quarterback who was very possibly now injury prone because he's later on in his career. And the same thing goes for Kirk Cousins. So I don't know. I think we have to factor that in. And we have to factor in the possibility of failure for their starter, which sucks, but that's the reality of the league. And I think that I agree that they still could have traded down to do it. And that's
my thing.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, you're going to take Penix, trade back, get an extra pick, do something because you have room to move there where you're not going to get jumped because Chicago wasn't going to take a quarterback because they took Caleb. Chicago wasn't going to trade out because they're looking to stack their team. They had that pick for a reason.
Right. You have to hop them if you wanted Dunze. It's that simple. It was that simple. You had to get in front of Chicago at 8.
I will say though, for Penix though, he must over the moon because now you're coming in. Cousins is there already, so you're not expected to be the starter.
No.
And you get to learn underneath Cousins, who is not a bad quarterback to learn from. And then you have to think that offense that you're stepping into, whether it be if Cousins gets hurt or whatever next year, you have weapons on that team. that offense is ready to go.
Yeah, and yeah, you have to factor in the human element too, right? I mean, Michael Penix Jr. was the talked down about going into the draft because of his injury history, and I get that. But now, like we said, I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's had some injuries now. So who better to show how to be a pro than a guy who's gone through what you've gone through? Not necessarily the same injury, but you know what I mean. Season ending,
Yeah.
like full recovery, and so the human element might be a factor in it too. I mean, so it's tough, but yeah, the trade back in my mind should have happened.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like he was taken too high. Should have traded back at the very minimum. But they didn't. And boy, did it look like that GM was trying to explain to his owner what the
Oh,
hell he did. I mean,
God.
it's just not a good look, you know.
No,
So
Arthur Blank sitting there going, I just paid this guy 100 million guaranteed. Why are we picking a quarterback? He's not factoring in, immediately. I'm sure that was his response. I'm sure now that he's thought about it, maybe he's thinking about it differently. So I get it. I mean, I would have been questioning it too if I were him. Like, turn the guy's freaking card key access off and start making phone calls to trade Penix. What do you do at that point?
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
you're
I get
you're stuck at that point. But I mean, I did love watching the GM explaining that after it's like you got rid of the head coach that you had that paraded out in front of the media to the blue in the face explaining why they weren't rushing Bijan Robinson inside the 5. So it's
Yeah, Falcons PR department needs some help.
and if I had that video, oh my god, do not post that. Like whoever posted that video, like
Yeah.
get out of here. NFL Network, you're brutal.
Yeah. No bueno. No bueno. There was another quarterback taken pretty high that no one thought should have been, and that's Bo Nix down in Denver. Went 12th overall. Um, Good Lord. I mean, he had a really good year last year, the highest completion percentage of any college quarterback in the FBS and all the other different leagues or whatever. But everyone thought this should have been a late first round, maybe even second round kind of, guy. And Sean Payton's in control there. Sean
Oh yeah.
Payton's like, nope, I want my quarterback. I don't care where we're picking. And this is probably another situation where they could have traded down and got him and got more picks to add to the team. But old school way of thinking, don't give a shit about value. I want my guy. That's Sean Payton for you. And took Bo Nix. So now that quarterback room is Bo Nix, Zach Wilson, and Jarrett Stidham. Oh boy. So I don't know what Denver is cooking, but to me, on paper, that roster is pretty weak, and I don't think they're necessarily a quarterback away from winning any football games.
No, and I think well, we know Sean Payton is this. They hired him to be the CEO of the team. He's running every aspect of the team. He's in charge of all player personnel decisions. And I think it's really interesting that he took Bo Nix there. I mean, do we question it really? Because look at the success he's had with quarterbacks. Now we could say, okay, he got lucky with Breeze. Outside of Breeze, what has he done? And maybe that's a fair point, and maybe it isn't. But the matter is that we're just not going to know until this guy plays for Sean Payton this year. Now, the one thing I think is really interesting that I want to touch on, same position, same team, is they acquired Zach Wilson in a trade, and that was 1,000% Sean Payton's ego maniacal driven passion to stick it to the Jets after what happened last year. I guarantee you that's what that is. That it's all that was all 100% ego driven, and I could see that one not working out very
Well,
well at all.
they already declined his 5th-year option, so
And they should. I mean,
But-
and they should, because why would you pay him? You got the Jets to pay half his salary. You're only paying him 5 or 6 million on the books this year. If you pick up his option, that turns into like 14 or 15 million dollars next year. There was no way they were picking his option up.
Yeah,
So-
makes no financial sense.
I applauded before, and I'm going to applaud it again because there is nothing more as a Raiders fan that I love to see than the Denver Broncos at 12 picking Bo Nix. Loved it. Loved it. I'm gonna crack open the official energy drink of this week. CVS, the accelerator right here. And the only thing we're accelerating is Sean Payton out the fucking door in Denver because Bo Nix is not Drew Brees. That's a fact. So, I mean, in this draft was all about teams needed a quarterback. They got their quarterback. So I think that was just a product of it that, he's there. We're taking him. No risk of losing him. But the risk is he worth 12th overall pick? We don't know.
We don't know.
I'm going to go on a limb and say he's not Drew Brees. So
Yeah, me too.
I think we can make the argument, right? Or maybe we can't, because maybe teams knew that he was going to go this high and they just weren't saying anything to the public about it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe Denver could have traded back and still taken Bo Nix, just like I said with Atlanta. Now, maybe I'm wrong with maybe I'm wrong about Atlanta though. Maybe, Pete, we're saying, and Zach, we're saying they should have traded back. Well, what if Denver's sitting there looking to take Michael Penix Jr. at 13? Then that throws a whole freaking, that throws the whole process off of teams trading up and you trading back and still getting your guy. Are you sure you're still going to get your guy? If you're the Falcons there and maybe Denver's going to take a quarterback when nobody else thought they would. So I don't know. That's a tough one for me now. It's tough to say that they should have traded back, and maybe it's tough to say that Atlanta should have traded back. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if your team got the guy they wanted, then I guess it all works out, right?
Right.
So,
I mean,
you don't take the gamble in losing them.
Exactly. If that's your guy, you have to get him. If you identified them, you loved them from the start, you loved them going into draft night, you have to take them.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Any other kind of notable draft picks of the first round that kind of jumped out to us, or
A big go ahead, Pete.
I just want to the Buffalo Bills, man.
very good.
What? I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs have been the thorn in the side of the Buffalo Bills for the last, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it may be.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years.
This new quarterback breed of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes going head to head with each other. What do? They trade the Kansas City Chiefs so the Chiefs can trade up to have their pick of wide receivers for the greatest quarterback in the league to throw to.
Yeah, they took the fastest receiver in the history of the combine.
It just doesn't make sense to me as a rival. I know the Raiders would never trade with the Kansas City Chiefs for them to trade up to get the weapon that's going to fuck them in the season.
Yeah.
So When Xavier
No.
Worth burns the 4-1 past every cornerback and defensive back that Buffalo has and goes off for a 2-hundo spot, I applaud that. I
Yeah.
applaud.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
mean, at that point, you get what you deserve.
And then today on the Pat McAfee show, the fucking GM for Buffalo defends the trade by going, well, we didn't trade the player to them. No, motherfucker. You just gave them the opportunity to take the player. Like,
We didn't trade the player. What a dork. Like, no shit. Like,
Yeah, things don't seem to be going well there, man. I mean, it's hard to ignore. I mean,
we said it. That door is shut.
yeah.
Yeah.
Window closed, door shut, put the lock on, and throw away the key. Josh Allen, you are
fucked.
fuck. You're in Dan Marino territory. You could be as great as you want. You're never gonna win a fucking Super Bowl.
He is unfortunate. Yeah, I mean,
He's
he
getting there.
is in Dan Marino territory right now. He
You're not
is.
gonna have a chance to win a Super Bowl. That's the thing.
No, not the way they're going right now. Not unless he gets traded.
And then Buffalo traded back a second time. And again, it was for a wide receiver. Like, don't you need a wide
They completely traded out of the first round.
Yeah. I mean, I know they took
because it just took all their I don't know. They're just fucking
they're assholes.
Yeah. They're done. Cooked. Cooked, as they kids say.
And then the wide receiver they did take in the second round, Keon Coleman, is viral for just being this character, this crazy.
Yeah, he's a clown.
Yeah. So it's like you just it's like they just got rid of one. Now they just got this new one who I'm sure, I mean, he seems like a nice guy, funny guy, but like, what happens if he doesn't get the ball now? Like,
I got to tell you, I feel like a lot of his draft stock was based on one catch that they kept showing over and over and over again from this kid. Like, was there anything else besides the one catch over the middle, one-handed catch? Like,
kind of agree. Any other kind of storylines?
Yes, but yes, I mean, it would be heresy for us to look over New England at number 3 and all the rumored trade offers and what it was going to take to get up to that spot, and the teams that decided not to do it. And one reportedly was the Giants. I mean, for them to have gotten up to 3 to take Drake May, it would have cost, at least from what we're hearing, 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, that's blasphemy.
I mean, you cannot do that. You cannot do that to move up 3 spots. I mean, that's absolute insanity, and no wonder why the pick didn't get traded. I mean, New England was really trying to hold people hostage for this pick, and yeah, the Giants made a great decision not to, and I'm sure the Vikings were making calls. I'm sure some other teams, like maybe even Atlanta and Denver, were making calls, or the Raiders, and it was just way too rich, way too rich.
My favorite little tidbit that came out of that was one of the main reasons why the Patriots decided to stick at 3 and take Drake May was because the GM was very moved. That was the quote, moved by the fact that Kevin O'Connell and Brian Dable, quarterback whisperers, wanted him so bad. So he said, well, I guess this guy must be good then if these guys want him. So, I mean, it's pretty funny. Fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad the Giants didn't do that. And I'm so glad that they didn't reach for JJ McCarthy. When we get into the Giants draft, I'm just gonna start roasting Giants Twitter, and it's gonna be pretty amazing. But yeah, I mean, Dan mentioned the Vikings. The other big trade was the Vikings trading up with for one spot, right? Traded up one spot. With the Jets.
Spot with the Jets, 11-10.
And they took McCarthy, who was probably the main quarterback that was linked to them. I think that's a really good fit for McCarthy. The team's kind of ready the team's more ready than most on offense. when you have the best wide receiver to throw to. Their offensive line is pretty decent right now. They've been building it over the last couple of years. And Kevin O'Connell is a quarterback whisperer, really good offensive coach. McCarthy needed to be in a team that's ready. He's more of a system guy. He's more pro ready than the other guys. His scouting report wasn't he could elevate the talent around him. He could just do well with talent around him. That's what he did at Michigan. So I
He has
just
the
went to
talent
avoid.
to work with
Mhm.
because he has the best wide receiver in the NFL to throw to. So
Yeah.
Yep.
if Justin Jefferson doesn't help your game as a quarterback, especially being a rookie, you're sunk no matter what. So
Yeah,
I
if
feel
you
like,
can't make that work, yeah.
I feel like any NFL caliber quarterback with Justin Jefferson on the team, it's going to elevate you to some extent. But other than getting McCarthy, because we all knew they were hungry for a quarterback, and I think they needed to show that Justin Jefferson that, hey, we're going to get a young quarterback in here. We'll give you your $30 million a year too, but be patient with us. But also what they did, and I loved, is they traded up and they got the best edge rusher in the fucking draft too, coming out of the rankings and everything.
To replace Daniil Hunter.
Yeah, Dallas Turner coming in. I think that's huge.
At Dallas Turner at 17 was a steal. That
was crazy.
Yeah, because he was a top 10 talent coming out of the draft. Best edge rusher, really, really good year at Alabama. But the whole first 14 picks were all offense. So he slid all the way down. Any other ones or
No,
really?
I think the Chargers taking
Joe Alt.
Joe Walt, pardon me. I think them taking Alt where they did was an underrated move for where they were picking, because I really do believe that Joe Alt is a plug and play for 10 to 15 years at a premium position that you need. You need it almost as much as you need a number one receiver. Like it's that important.
Yeah.
Fair. But how about Chargers getting some phone calls for Justin Herbert? Could have had it.
Yes.
We could have had the trade.
They
is almost there.
They did indeed take phone calls for Herbert, and they were all politely declined.
I think the owner would have had a really, really hard time with that.
The owner would have set the building on fire.
Yeah.
Harbaugh, man, with that fucking Michigan tattoo, him and JJ. But yeah, Joel, solid pick. Can't wait for Max Crosby to ruin his week twice a year. It's gonna be awesome.
That's most likely as a rookie, he still might struggle. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I don't care how fucking huge you are. I mean, the last tackle that was drafted at that size or similar to that size plays for my team, and he's a fucking bust at right tackle. So you never know. So
you never know. That's true.
All right, let's get into our own teams here. We'll start off with, I guess, my team. We'll kind of segue right into it. Because there was a lot of drama surrounding the Giants. What are they going to do at 6? Are they going to take a quarterback? Are they going to trade up? They're going to take the wide receiver. What are they going to do? Because no one outside the Giants war room had any idea what Joe Shane was going to do. And as a Giants fan, I love that. That means he keeps his cards close to the chest. And pretty much has been since he's been hired here. They would go with Malik Neighbors. We all pretty much mocked that to happen. He was the best player available at number 6. He fills an immediate need. They haven't had a number 1 wide receiver in 7 years. They haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver in 6-7 years. Immediately helps the offense. They did not take a quarterback. No, they were never going to take JJ McCarthy at number 6. That's way too much of a reach. And every Giants fan on Twitter going, I can't believe we have to go through another year of Danny Jones. And I can't believe they're trying to give this guy another shot. No, you fucking dumbasses. Malik Neighbors is not here to help Daniel Jones. Malik Neighbors is here to help the Giants offense, because Malik Neighbors is going to be here, hopefully, for a really long time. So if they do get a different quarterback in the future, they'll have Malik Neighbors to throw to. They'll hopefully have a better offensive line to throw to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they went half offense, half defense with their 6 picks, 3 and 3. My personal favorite pick from the class is actually in the 4th round. Tight end Theo Johnson out of Penn State. That dude is a fucking athletic freak of nature. The highest athletically graded tight end to come out of the draft since they started tracking that shit. 6'6", 260, ran a 4.57 40-inch vertical, can block, can catch. Darren Waller insurance. He's like, I don't know if I'm gonna retire yet.
He's done.
Yeah, he's so done. Joe Shane's like, fuck you. I'm not waiting on you no more. Let me get this kid. He was actually my personal favorite pick, was the Theo Johnson pick, because that was a great spot for him to be. It fills a need. Joe Shane was very, very needy with the draft this year. All his picks pretty much filled needs on the team. Second round, he took in day 2, he addressed the secondary, took the number 1 safety off the board in the second round at pick 47. Then came right around in the 3rd round and picked the corner out of Kentucky, who can be good. I personally thought it was a little bit of a reach for him. I thought they reached for him a little bit because there was a big run on corners, and I think maybe they didn't think he would get him. So he could be good, but I thought it was a little bit of a reach. But extremely needs based, besides obviously the first pick that was both needs and best player available. Favorite pick was Theo Johnson out of the class. I think the Giants upgraded the offense by a decent amount, because they also took the running back out of Purdue, who had a really good season last year. The general consensus from the media is Giants were given an A. I'll give them an A minus. I don't want to give them an A, mainly because I thought the pick in the 3rd round was a bit of a reach, but I thought Joe Shane had a great draft. He blocked out all the noise blocked out the pressure of getting a quarterback at 6 that fucked us and put us in this position that we are right now. So that's my 2 cents on the Giants. And Malik Neighbors, like we've talked about plenty here, freak of nature, 20 years old. A lot of scouts had him better than Marvin Harrison Jr. Super explosive. At minimum will be Jamar Chase. At maximum could be even something more special. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think the Neighbors pick at 6 is an A triple plus, because anytime that you have an opportunity to get a talent like that, especially at 6, arguably the best wide receiver in this draft. I know people are really enamored with Marvin Harrison Jr., but anytime you're comparing a wide receiver to like a Jamar Chase, who is a dog, you're helping your team. Another LSU product. We all mocked it. I mean, this is only going to help the progression of Danny Dimes to kind of get back to what you think he could have been. But like you said, you're not handcuffed to Dimes. If Dimes doesn't work out and you're bringing a new quarterback in, guess what? Having a star-studded talent like that is only a bona fide plus for you. I too agree with the Theo Johnson pick. Awesome pick. Waller is his. See you later.
Yeah, good luck with your rap career.
Raiders won that trade. Your wife's divorcing you for a reason. Need I say more? But yeah, Theo Johnson, he has the potential to be another dog. I think Giants covered their bases well. Secondary, hit it with the safety. Cornerback, you don't know, but I think they made the picks where they needed to make them. And I mean, B plus, A minus. I think the Giants, they did pretty good. It's just a matter of seeing what you put together this year and what does Dimes do for you. I mean, you free agency, you hit on your offensive line, so there's it's all in the quarterback on this one. I think whatever Daboll can put together, if he can keep that team together, there's you see some flashes this year.
So my philosophy on the draft is anywhere in the top 100 or the first 3 rounds of the draft. If you take this guy, he has to come in and he has to impact your team right away in some way, shape, or form. Guy in the first round has to do it at a high level. Now, the question, I'm going to ask you a question, Zach, because I keep reading about this kid and I can't get a solid answer. Tyler Nubin, 2nd round, safety out of Minnesota. Looks great on film. Looks like a hard-hitting safety, is a bigger safety, maybe even could get up to outside linebacker weight territory if the Giants wanted to do that with him. What is he? Is he a free safety? Is he a strong safety? Is he a hybrid? Is he a linebacker?
That'll be up to Shane Bowen. I know he was vocal about picking him, because he fits his scheme. I think he's going to be primarily a box safety because of how physical and how strong he is. But I mean, he had 4 or 5 career interceptions at college too. So like one of the big traits for him was ball hawk. Ball hawk. He just goes to the ball. He just fucking hits whoever has the ball or bats the ball down or tries to get it or whatever. You know, he's not a crazy athlete. He didn't really score super high as, an athlete. He's just an all-around instinct. He's an instinct player. He has a feel for the game. That's what everyone said about him. Feel for the game, instinct, not a super great athlete, but he's just always where the ball needs to be. He kind of played everywhere in college, a little bit into safety position. They'll probably define his role a little bit more. I do think he'll end up being a box safety for the Giants. And I think that's pretty much what his role will be.
All right. So reason I'm asking that is because there's obviously a difference in the positions and what you would consider a premium position, right? So free safety, hybrid safety, premium positions. Strong safety, outside linebacker, not premium positions, but obviously you need players there. So this is the only thing that's keeping me from giving the Giants an A+. Otherwise, they filled premium needs with premium picks, and that is what you're looking for. I also factor into this grade their decision not to give up the future and sell the farm to move up 3 picks to draft a quarterback who might not even be better than Daniel Jones right now. So kudos to them. Kudos to Joe Shane. Kudos to the scouting staff for getting it right and sticking with their process that they probably had all along and filling it with dogs.
All right, let's go to the Jets. I'll have Dan take the lead for the Jets here.
All right, so Jets went in needing wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, safety, and developmental quarterback. Joe Douglas traded about 1,000 times. He traded every single day 1, day 2, and day 3. Moved back, like we said before, from 10 to 11 with the Vikings to acquire a pick later on. Olu Fashanu offensive tackle out of Penn State. I was relieved that they went down this road. I was ready. I was getting ready even at 11 to hear Brock Bowers' name called. And admittedly, it wouldn't have crushed me. I would have just been like, okay, but what happens when we need somebody to step in for Moses or Smith when it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that they're going to miss some games. So you need an answer there. The only thing that matters is keeping Aaron Rodgers upright. That is the only thing that matters. That was the right pick. They didn't have a second round pick thanks to the trade with the Packers for Aaron Rodgers. That trade has now been completed. Um, Third round, Joe Douglas apparently started making calls. I'm sorry, second round, even though they didn't have a pick, Joe Douglas started making calls at pick 45, and that was to get up to draft Malachi Corley. They couldn't get up to 45. They did get up to 65, and he was still there. Wide receiver, Western Kentucky. Um, Yak guy, run after the catch guy. A lot of people compare him somewhat to Debo Samuel. If he's anything like that, great pick. Next round, fourth round, at pick 134, they took a big bruising running back, which is kind of a change of pace for Brees Hall. Braylon Allen, running back, Wisconsin. I like running backs out of Wisconsin.
Dog, this
Dog,
guy
dog.
is fucking jacked. This
He's
guy
jacked. He's jacked. He's going to be the short yardage guy, and he's really good in pass protection, which is often a trait for running backs that's overlooked. So fourth round, you could say maybe you could argue that's a little rich considering they have Brees Hall, but it's about offense this year, baby. They have to get it right. Fifth round, 171, Jordan Travis, quarterback out of FSU. This is obviously a developmental pick. I think the experts would have said that had it not been for his injury, he would have been picked a lot higher, which is kind of obvious. Extremely slow release. So I expect the Jets to do their best, even though they are not known for developing quarterbacks. I expect them to break him down and build them back up so that he can play in the NFL because he can't play in the NFL with a release that slow. Uh, 2 picks later at 173, Isaiah Davis, running back, South Dakota State. I don't know if this is kick returner, punt returner. I don't know what this is. If it's not a move for a really high-end special teams player, then you can obviously really question this pick, and so am I. And I don't have an answer on that yet. So this was, in my opinion, unless, like I said, a special teams ace, not a good pick. Uh, and then 3 picks later, they took Quantez Stiggers, first player ever drafted out of the CFL at cornerback. That's pretty intriguing to me. He won Rookie of the Year in the CFL. It's a little bit of a different game. There's only 3 downs. There isn't 4 downs. I mean, there's a lot to factor in there. I mean, who knows? This is a 6th round pick. You're just throwing darts at the board, but I wouldn't exactly call this a position of need. I would call this a position that we need maybe to develop a guy for next year when Sauce is the only cornerback on the roster because everybody else's contract is up. So when with the Mr. Irrelevant, Jalen Key, safety out of Alabama, you can argue that safety was also a spot that they could take a developmental player. I don't have an issue with this pick. That's fine. My issue is that they didn't go defensive tackle anywhere. And that's another spot where after this year, Quentin Williams is the only one on the books. So some questionable decisions later in the draft, starting at pick 173 with Isaiah Davis. I think I think that probably brings it down to a B. So I'm going to give the Jets a B. They were kind of victims of where they were picking to begin with in this draft in the first round, not being able to get the supposed best tackle on the board or one of the top three receivers, which obviously they were in love with at least one of them. So I'm giving the Jets a B. By the way, I didn't hear any grades for the Giants from you guys. I gave the Giants an A.
I gave the Giants a B plus A.
Okay,
I gave them an A minus.
gotcha.
Dano, I'm with you with the Jets. I agree with I give them a B. I mocked them taking Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. I said it in our draft preview. The game is keep Aaron Rodgers upright, right? You brought him in to be the guy. He was the guy for 3 plays before tragedy struck because of the offensive line. So,
Yep.
right here, this is the step you take to keep him on the field and keep that offense in motion. I didn't really brush up on Malachi Corley. I like the wide receiver pick. I just don't know. There's a lot of wide receivers to take in this draft. So
He led college football in yards after catch.
okay. All right. So
Don't mind
again,
me. Don't mind me. As I'm recording, a big ass fucking bug is crawling up the fucking wire to the mic. I'm like, you gotta be fucking shitting me right now.
but we'll take time. The official candy sponsor of Dog Talk Sports this week is Sweet Tarts, original flavor right here. So, quick sponsor shout out right there. If you want to sponsor us, our DMs are wide open. Like, subscribe. You know how to do it. Back to
HEB.
HEB. Shout out to Texas's finest. A lot of big HEB picks this year in the draft. But Braylon Allen.
Ugh.
I love the pick.
I'm excited about him.
I was looking at him. He reminds me of, do you remember Michael Bush out of Louisville? He was like 6'2", 240, and just would drag the pile. And
I hope he has a better career than Michael Bush.
Hey, he was a good guy. But listen, Wisconsin backs are cool. And then I liked Jordan Travis. I thought
Why not?
the
Why not?
Aaron Rodgers learning tree.
Yeah.
If
if we're ever going to develop a quarterback, it's going to be with this guy on the roster as our future Hall of Fame quarterback. I can't say for sure that we're going to be able to do it past that. So, or that we're going to be able to do it at all, to be fair.
But why not take the shot at it, right?
Right. Why not? He's there, 5th round. 5th round is kind of like, okay, this is kind of a position in need for the future, not really now project, but this guy was highly rated prospect.
Like I said,
for the injury.
If someone like Joe Milton, I said if he was there in the 5th round and we took a stab at him, fuck it, whatever.
Why not?
You hope for the best. But I think the pick to me was Fashanu. That was the pick. You had to take offensive line tackle.
Yeah.
And off the board, Olu was the best pick for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't mind Latham. I think that Olu is the better natural left tackle than Latham. I think Latham might be a right tackle, or he might even play guard. But Olu outside of Alt, to me, was the best left tackle prospect.
Great.
So I like what the Jets did. The first pick for Olu, obviously, as you guys kind of touched based on it, that was a smart pick in my opinion. That was the pick that it's all about keeping Aaron Rodgers upright. Because the reason why the Jets season was derailed last year is because they couldn't keep Aaron Rodgers upright. And I get people are like, oh, well, he may not even start. They should have took Brock Bowers, because there's a couple of those people out there. And I'm like, who fucking cares? Like
Well,
the Jets offensive line, this is at minimum, this is injury insurance in case one of these older tackles that they have signed, like Tyron Smith, goes down. Then this guy is right here. But you know what? This guy can be here for 10 years. So that's why I love the pick. I don't understand the people that didn't like the pick. I don't think they know ball.
I don't
Um,
think they do either. And explain, and they need to explain this to me. I love Morgan Moses. He's coming off a torn pec surgery. He's rehabbing to get ready to start the season. Am I 1000% confident that he's going to be back to normal to start the year? That's why you take this guy.
mhm. Exactly. Exactly. My favorite pick of the Jets was Malachi Corley, and to get him at pick 65 is such a steal. I love that how the Joe Douglas maneuvered around the board at will. You know, like he was getting future assets, using those to go back up to get the player. I just think he moved around the board really well. The one pick that was a little weird was the running back that Dan mentioned. I thought that was a little bit head scratching. But other than that, I thought the Jets did a great job. I'm going to give them a B plus actually.
And that's fair. And I really hope to read something one of these days about Isaiah Davis out of South Dakota State being the special teams ace. And that'll make me feel a lot better about it. I mean, they did just lose they did just lose Justin Hart. And he was one of the best gunners in the league. So if this is a replacement, then fine. Then that's in the fifth round. I could live with that, especially if he's good on special teams.
Yeah. And that's something you won't find out until, frickin' training camp.
August, yeah.
Exactly. So let's get into the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders.
Eaters. So I mocked us trading up for Jaden Daniels. The Raiders were making phone calls. They were letting everyone know, hey, we're trying to get our guy. It didn't work out. So instead of the Raiders doing the most Raider thing ever and just falling apart because you figure Penix was going to be there, no. Guess what? 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12. So not what we're expecting. But what did the Raiders do? First draft, new GM, first Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce, first draft head coach. We go best available, baby, and we get Brock Bowers, best tight end in the draft. Questionable pick. People are like, the Raiders traded up into the second round last year to get Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. Well, guess what? It's called 12 personnel, baby. And Tom Brady made it work for him. So, you know what? Create mismatches. You got Brock Bowers. He could play the slot. Michael Mayer, tight end. He's a better blocker, but not as athletic. You still got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. I'll take it. You're creating mismatches on the offense. It's going to force the defense to pick who you're gonna double, who you're gonna cover. It gives you options, especially when you brought in Gardner Minshew at quarterback. You have AOC, who's gonna come back a second year and compete for the starting job. You're giving your quarterback the best options available to play with. I was taken aback by the pick because I figured, all right, maybe we're just going to trade back. Well, guess what? Raiders didn't trade at all in this draft. They stayed at every single pick, 8 picks. The second round pick, and probably my favorite pick, Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. This guy is a dog. Center for Oregon, we're going to roll him over to right guard because we already have a center. But my favorite thing is highest career pass blocking grade according to PFF, Jackson Powers Johnson, a 91.8, highest for all college prospects coming out. I will take that. Our biggest needs were going into the draft. Quarterback was like we'll see what's available to us. For me, it was offensive line, secondary. Dan, you said it. Your first, 3 picks, you're saying you want them to come in immediately and make a sort of impact. I think Jackson Powers Johnson, he has that Raiders mentality. He told Antonio Pierce on the phone, I'm ready to whoop some ass for you. I'm ready to do this. That's what I want to see. I want a fucking mauler. And then 3rd round, we go out and we get Delmar Glaze, offensive tackle out of Maryland, another big boy. Guess what? On that highest career pass block grade, number 6 on it, 87.9, just behind Olu Fashanu. So, you know what? When you're in that kind of territory, he's going to immediately compete for a right tackle spot. Offensive line, build a bully, win in the trenches. You're only helping your quarterback, whoever you got back there, whoever is going to win the competition. Then we go into 4th round, secondary, to Camarian Richardson out of Mississippi State, a burner. 4.3, 4.40. I'll take it. Has size. It's a bit of a raw prospect, but he has the intangibles where he's going to compete for a spot day one, I feel like. Then we linebacker Tommy Eichenberg out of Ohio State, just another grinder. He has those Robert Spillane qualities to him, who came into the Raiders defense with Antonio Pierce and thrived. So I feel like he can learn from Spillane and help out. Round 6, we get a running back. We lost Josh Jacobs. Bring in Dylan Lobb out of New Hampshire. Telesco has an eye for these late round running backs. Said it reminds him of Chargers running back that's now with Washington.
Eckler,
yeah. This is going to be an Eckler guy. He's going to compete on special teams immediately, but he has the hands, and they say that he can run routes out of the backfield. Trey Taylor, safety out of Air Force, another player that they said should have went higher, but just was sitting there, helps the secondary. And then MJ Devonshire out of Pittsburgh in the 7th round, another cornerback. He's raw too, so we'll see what they can do with him. If I had to give the Raiders a grade, I would say B plus. We didn't get a quarterback, but outside of the top 3, I don't think there wasn't where we're completely sold on them to take a Bo Nix or a Penix Jr. They weren't going to take them that high. They may have taken Penix Jr. at 13 if he was there, but I think they were looking to trade back into the 1st round to take him rather than take him there at 13. I think the biggest things, offensive line, build a bully. You're giving your quarterback, whoever it may be, the best chance to protect them, give them time, and then you add on Brock Bowers. If you can find a way to make 12 personnel work, which there's no reason they shouldn't.
Antonio Pierce could figure out a way to make that work.
I mean, we lost Renfro, so that opens up the slot. Bowers can play in the slot all day long. Mm-hmm. So I very happy with this draft. This is not like the Raiders drafts of the past where you really reach on a lot of players, and I've sat and watched drafts with both of you where it's just what the fuck?
When Al Davis was making the picks, we were definitely saying that.
Yeah. Well, even it's just this was really a calculated draft, and it showed. I think they went by need and best available of what was available, and they took high graded players. It wasn't any reaches. Again, Jackson Powers Johnson, they're going to move him immediately into right guard, and he is going to be a problem for defenses. So I'm happy. We still have cap room. We picked up another wide receiver. We picked up Michael Gallup. Just adds to the room. I'm happy. I'm happy right now as a Raiders fan.
Yeah, I kind of agree. You should be happy. I have the same grade. I'm just going to tell you right off the bat. I have the Raiders at a B plus, and I agree with you with your point with the quarterbacks, where they were with the quarterbacks that had already been taken. That's out the window at that point. Then now you have to shift your focus to other areas of your team that you need to build up. So out of the first three premium picks that I was talking about, the Raiders took one premium position, and that was Glaze offensive tackle. I am not going to sit here and tell you that you shouldn't be excited about the other players. I think Brock Bowers is the best tight end. I think he might be the best tight end in the league one day. I think Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be an immediate impact day one at right guard. Like you said, maybe even high end, even Pro Bowl level player. And then it seems like later on in the draft, the Raiders did kind of just touch on needs, which I think was great. So I'll just read you my notes verbatim. It seemed to me like the Raiders stayed true to their draft board, not necessarily overlooking needs by prioritizing them differently just because they wanted to take the best players available. Um, Also, the fact that no quarterback was drafted later on kind of tells me that they like where they stand with their developmental quarterback situation in Aiden O'Connell. So fair enough. And because of that, yeah, like I said, I gave them a B plus. The only thing keeping it from being an A was one out of the first three picks not being premium positions. I have to look at everything like that because, like we said, we don't know what these players are going to turn into.
Yeah. I also gave the Raiders a B plus. My personal favorite pick was the Jackson Powers Johnson pick as well. I think he's an immediate impact for their offensive line. Just plug him right into guard and just let him start pushing people. This was actually something that me and Dan touched on a little bit while we were watching the draft. I'm fully convinced the Raiders were going to take Michael Penix Jr. at 13. And I think when he went at 8, I think they were just in such shock that they're like, you know what? Let's just take the best player available.
Yep.
Brock Bowers was the best player available.
On everybody's board, we could probably say he was a top 10 pick on everyone's board.
Yes. Yes, he
Yeah.
was the top 10 pick on everybody's board. Back to an earlier point that was made, they did take a tight end pretty high last year, so I thought they could have used that pick on one of the better premier tackles to further solidify the offensive line. Like Pete says, build the bully. And I felt like a high-end premium tackle at 13 would have fit the mold a little bit better or more than Brock Bowers there. But I think he's going to be a great player and might end up being the best tight end in the league one day. And one of the reasons why I have them at a B plus instead of an A for that reason. But the Raiders addressed a lot of needs and love the Jackson Powers Jackson Powers Johnson. I think that guy's a freak. I really think he should have went earlier.
No, he
Um,
is.
but Very much like
They
what
don't.
very much like what the
20.
Raiders did.
Yeah, again, I'm happy. I think going into the season with Minshew and AOC as your quarterbacks competing, whatever happens. I'm gonna root for AOC just because he's homegrown and rocking the number 4. But if it means Raiders are winning games this year, sign me up.
All
By
right,
the way, the Knicks are 28 seconds away from advancing to the second round,
good.
up 6 points.
The Philadelphia 76ers blow goats. I hate that team. I hate Joel Embiid. He is the
He's a
biggest
dirty player.
dirty pussy ass bitch player I've ever seen in my life. He's literally never been good in the playoffs ever in his career. He's always had to have good teammates around him. I can't believe that guy fucking won MVP last year because of voter fatigue. The NBA should be ashamed of themselves.
To
And
be fair, he was playing on one leg and he still had like 30-point games
I don't care.
and was their only chance to even be close in the series at all or to make it competitive.
Soft. Hate him. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Anyway.
At Luka Doncic while we're at it, though. My man is a playoff machine.
He didn't shoot the ball well last game, though.
Didn't they lose the last game?
They did. It's tied up 2-2.
2-2.
Kyrie had a really good game.
Listen.
Fuck him too.
You love him. I know he's your favorite.
My man Kyrie with the handles had 40 points the last game. My man Luka Doncic had a triple-double last game. We gotta put the Clippers down.
Okay. Update.
What just happened?
Tyrese Maxey just hit a 3 and got it in 1. So possible 4-point play. Sixers might only be down by 2 with 20 seconds left.
Oh, goodness.
All right.
And I spoke too soon and I did it on the podcast, and all my Knick fan brethren are going to crucify me for this.
Let's talk about the Steelers draft here, because we do have some Steelers fans listeners. I thought they did pretty well. My favorite pick was the tackle pick, Troy Fatanu, in the first rounds. They really needed to shore up that offensive line, and that
mock that. I mocked that.
Yep. Yes, you did. Excellent job by Pete there. You got 2 new quarterbacks in there, and getting a tackle was the main thing for them. They also got a couple other needs that they addressed later on in the rounds. I think the new regime there is really doing a good job so far. I didn't really go too deep into them, but they got a lot of needs filled. So I'm going to give them an A, actually.
Yeah, it's Mike Tomlin. I'm going to give him an A.
Yeah, he's coach among boys. He's the man. The fact that team, that he keeps them in games last year. We have an update.
Maxey just tied the game with another 3, and it's going into overtime.
Sorry, Knick fans.
That's insane. That's a disaster.
Oh,
cards. The originals right here. You hate to see it.
I really do.
You hate to see it. Can I shout out a pick? I forgot about this pick, and I want to shout out a sponsor pick, actually, because this is an HEB pick. Adonai Mitchell.
Adonai Mitchell had I shouldn't say the makeup, because the makeup is what got him questioned. He has all the physical traits that you would want and all the production that you would want out of a number 1 receiver.
Oh my God. And guess what? You dropped him in Indianapolis with Richardson at quarterback. And
That
then,
could be good.
oh my God. And then you pair him up with the other fucking wide receiver,
Pittman.
Pittman Jr. Dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. He's an underrated dog. Nobody talks about Michael Pittman Jr.
That offense, scary.
It could be really good. That could be really good.
AR can stay healthy.
Yeah. And that, yeah. If he could stay healthy, the sky's the limit for that offense right now.
All right, let's talk about the Eagles a little bit. Once again, Howie Roseman continues to prove that he's the best general manager in all sports.
Yeah.
I hate this team. I can't believe I have to play this team twice a year. I can't believe this team is in my conference. I mean, how does he keep getting?
No, Zach, it doesn't mean that these guys are going to be good though. Like we're saying, right? What Howie Roseman did was
he did it.
He filled the team's needs with premium picks, premium positions, premium picks, and he did it. He did it like 900 picks in a row. I feel like.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like.
I mean, he's not the one on the field coaching them. You know, that's why they lost the last 7 games in a row last year.
Exactly. So that needs to be factored in as well. He is a great GM. There's no way around it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just that's A+ for the Eagles.
Simple.
It's just.
Yeah. You don't want to.
Anyone, if he's calling you, I've said this many times, but I feel like it has to be continue to be said and spread out into the ether for someone to listen to me subliminally. If he calls you,
to this podcast, they do listen to this podcast.
So. If he calls you for a trade, hang up the phone.
Unless you're Joe Douglas, because you're good friends with Howie Roseman.
Exactly. Unless you're Joe Douglas, because then the trade will actually be even. But if you're calling, like, what were the Washington Commanders doing? Trading with them so that they can get the best corner available? Like, this is why Washington's always bad, and I don't fucking care for them. This is until they can prove to me they could actually beat my team, because that's the only team that the Giants seem to fucking bounce around like a basketball, even when they were complete and total shite. I can't.
It's the move to trade back for them is very questionable. It's not as questionable as the Bills trading with Kansas City so that Kansas City could take Xavier Worthy.
No.
You knew what they were take.
Yeah,
you just knew it.
They needed a wide receiver, and they were trading up for a wide receiver. I do want to shout out the Eagles, though. Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Very cool.
Class act. That was so awesome. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We had, and even undrafted, we had like 10 sons of former legendary players go in this draft.
That's cool.
Terrell Owens' kid was an undrafted free agent.
Jerry Rice's kid.
Frank
Gore's kid.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Trotter.
Alt. Everybody forgets about Joe Alt. His dad was a Hall of Fame tackle.
Joe Alt. The defensive tackle, Jenkins.
Yes, Chris Jenkins. He played for the Jets.
Like
a lot of them.
Legacy picks.
Yeah. It's really cool. And I hope they all work out because that's really cool.
Yeah. I want to see well, he's a Charger now, but Jerry Rice's kid, I wanted him to be in the silver and black. Just come on in. But
he's now on the West Coast where he belongs.
Now I get to hate him twice a year.
Terrell Owens' kid is on the 49ers. That's where T.O. got his start.
It's your popcorn.
Just saying. Can you imagine if he's a player I mean, that offense is just fucking stupid. Just stop it, please. Please stop it.
Yeah, someone actually
An
needs to stop it.
embarrassment of riches.
Yep. Embarrassing.
I mean, you could put Mr. Irrelevant quarterback in that offense every year with Kyle Shanahan, and they're probably going to be really good. I mean, it really is that stupid how good that offense is.
Must be nice. Must be nice. Anything
Not
else?
to take anything away from what's his name,
Brock Purdy's a fucking
Brock
door.
Purdy. Yeah, I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but
He's a doorknob.
yeah. Don't be a hater. He's Mr. Irrelevant, bro.
My God, you wish he was your quarterback.
You know, he's just salty because it's the 49ers.
I'm a Giants fan. I'm not supposed to like the 49ers.
No, you're not. You're not supposed to like them. No.
I think
not simple.
I think Brock Purdy is a phenomenal system quarterback, and he runs Shanahan's offense to perfection, and that's why he has great numbers.
He does.
This isn't a special quarterback.
Just want to throw one last thing out there that Tom Brady, he did say, you know, Raiders
I'll throw up. I honestly, I'll throw up.
I wouldn't be opposed to throwing on the number 12 again and that 12 personnel.
I would be very shocked. And
you can't be an owner and a quarterback. So
yeah,
that's the obstacle.
I'm pretty sure he
sell his minority share back to Mark Davis, throw the 12 back on, and sling some balls to Devontae and Brock Bowers.
Do you know what's funny is they really could do that. It really is this simple. Let me. It is as simple as him selling his shares back to the Raiders and then him being able to recoup those same shares as soon as he's done playing. So that is a possibility.
Oh, you guys drafted offensive line? I can stay upright at 45 years old? Oh, wait. You 46. Added the best tight end in the draft? Oh, wait. You have Devontae Adams? Oh, and the defense is probably going to be decent?
It's Tom Brady. I guess we wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
Nope.
I would be the first one with a Brady jersey. Throw that sumbitch on, because it should have been him and not Garoppolo as the fucking quarterback. But AOC, man, I'm all in on AOC. I know everyone Minshew mania and the mustache. Give me AOC all day. Let's go. Purdue.
I'd
listen.
I'd Minshew.
I think I understand why you're saying that, because Minshew has showed the ability to play at a high level, but he also turns the ball over a lot. But I mean, we've seen that with AOC too. So I would rather have the veteran in there to start the season, see how things go with him. If they don't go well, you could always go to AOC. He needs to be ready to go. The offense does have weapons on it now. Like, get some production out of one of these guys, and you might have a good year. You might surprise some people, especially in that division where everybody's counting you out.
Agreed. All right. Anything else we want to touch on before we wrap this up here and try to see if the Knicks can pull this out?
No, I'm going to go lose my mind and watch them probably fall over themselves. No, they need to win this game. They need to win this game. They need rest going into round 2, because this was a dogfight.
Yeah, this is a must-win game for them almost. They need to close this out. It can't extend. The series cannot extend.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I found this on the web.
It's me.
Check it.
Are you kidding?
What was that?
I don't. My Siri thing popped up. I don't know what freaking happened, but he started talking to me, and Jake from State Farm popped up, and I had to yell at it real quick.
Dog Talk Sports, also sponsored by State Farm Insurance.
All right, this is the opportunity for you who are watching at home to like, subscribe, follow, do all those things. Spotify, YouTube, hit the IG, shout out the Twitter. Let's go. Let's get this thing going.
If you're upset with us that we didn't cover your team, mention them in the comments.
Yeah, holler at us. Come on, give us something to talk to. We want it. 1,000 subscribers. Ray is not here. We love him, but he will pierce his nipple.
Oh, if that happens, that video would get at least 1,000 views immediately.
Right up on YouTube.
Right up.
Right on the.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Peace.
Rah.